Money beats talent. Now, we often hear this phrase rehearsed a lot in the motorsports industry, but in recent years, we've heard it a lot regarding Formula One. Now, why is the sport so expensive nowadays? Well, let's break it down for you. So, as we all know, the history of Formula One began in 1950 when the first World Championship took place. The FIA standardised the rules after World War II, leading to the inaugural F1 season in 1950 with the British Grand Prix at Silverstone as the first race. Now, it wasn't until 1970 when Bernie Ecclestone centralised commercial rights to F1, transforming the sport from a fragmented collection of teams into a commercially successful global entity. So at this point, Formula One's a pretty big deal, meaning that you can also stay at home and watch the adrenaline-inducing sport from your sofa on TV. So here I'm going to break down the several categories to understand why motorsports is so expensive, including high performance equipment, personnel and expertise, and logistics and operations. So starting with high performance equipment, you have the cars, safety gear, and the tyres. Now the actual cost of an F1 car nowadays travels between the bracket of 12 to 20 million. 20 million. Nowadays, as we know, the F1 cars are turbocharged with a 1.6 litre V6 engine. Now, that engine alone costs 10.5 million. Now, we all know that it's really expensive and hard to create an engine to be as powerful as a Formula One car. Back in 1950, the cars would only produce around 350 horsepower, whereas a Formula One car nowadays produces up to 1,000 horsepower. Big difference. Carbon fibre is a big use of material in the sport, mainly because of how strong it is, how light it is, and how much more cheaper it is of a material to use. Now, the chassis of the Formula One cars are made out of carbon fibre, so this provides both a lightweight design and structural integrity, but this costs approximately 700,000. You can see how we're racking up the costs here. Now you have the gearbox, designed to withstand extreme stress, featuring an 8-speed forward gear system. This can cost around 350,000. I just feel like we're building an expensive shopping list here. Now we have the aerodynamics. This is obviously to increase downforce, better speed in races, which helps teams win races. Well, that and a good strategy. Front and rear wings, crucial for generating downforce. These can cost 250,000. Now we have also other components, including the steering wheels, hydraulics, brakes, fuel tanks, and the Halo safety device, of course. This also contributes to the overall cost. Now, Formula One a few years ago did introduce a cost cap, meaning that teams could only spend a certain amount on their cars each year. This also includes certain expenses like driver salaries and marketing. Now we have the safety of both the driver and the Formula One car. F1 helmets are made of carbon fibre with fireproof lining and foam padding. They are rigorously tested for impact and fire resistance. A basic carbon fibre helmet can cost around 5,000, but custom fitted helmets, as we've already established, for individual drivers can reach 15,000. Now we have the race suit. The F1 race suits are designed to be fireproof and protect drivers in case of a crash. They are made from Nomex, a fire-resistant material, and this can cost around 500, which is a lot cheaper. There's also other gear that drivers wear, including fireproof underwear, gloves, boots, all of which contribute to their own safety and range in price. Now, one imperative safety device that we've seen a lot in recent years, especially when cars tend to flip or have an impact of quite high G-forces, is the HANS device. Now, if you don't know what HANS stands for, it stands for head and neck support. And this device can help prevent neck injuries in crashes. And it's also a crucial piece of safety equipment that can cost several $100s. It's expensive, but we're all glad that they have it. Lastly, here we have the steering wheel. Now, if you're anything like me, you've looked at the Formula One steering wheel and you have just... This is the face that you made. You have no idea what any of the buttons mean. Some of us do. For example, the RPM counter. A lot of us also know how to regulate where the radio button is, considering we hear that quite a lot. And we also know where the upshift and the downshift pads are on the back, including the clutch control. So those alone already rack up the prices quite high, and that's just for safety in the cars. We also have the tyres. Now, in Formula One, there are 5 tyres, 2 sets on the treads and 3 sets on the slicks. These are the softs, mediums, hards, intermediates, and the wets. Now, on a standardised Grand Prix weekend, we see drivers get given 13 sets of dry weather tyres, 4 sets of intermediates, and 3 sets of full wets. Now, as we all know, the provider of the Formula One tyres is Pirelli, with each tyre costing around $2,700. So if we were to do a set of 4 tyres, The cost is approximately $10,800. During a race weekend, teams typically use around 13 sets per driver, meaning the total cost for tyres for one car can exceed $35,000. So the next category we have is personnel and expertise. Now this category consists of teams, drivers and the luxury goods. So let's start with the Formula One teams. Now to start with, we have the salaries for the team personnel and the members of each team. Now, as we all obviously know, Formula One teams are made up of a lot of people, so obviously there is a lot of people to pay. Teams pay substantial salaries to their drivers, engineers, mechanics and other staff members that are involved not only in a race weekend, but also back at the headquarters of each team. The number of personnel varies per team, but with more established teams having larger and more specialised staff. So for example, teams such as Haas have a smaller amount of team members, as compared to a team like Ferrari, who will have a lot more. F1 teams invest heavily in research and development, which requires skilled engineers, aerodynamicists, and other technical experts. So for a team like Red Bull Racing, they spent around $50 million on drivers alone in 2023. And in 2020, Formula One team Toro Rosso reported costs of $40 million. In essence, personnel and expertise are major costs in Formula One, and teams must carefully manage these expenses while also staying within the overall cost cap where applicable. Next, we're now going to move on to the luxury goods. Now, we all know that where there's money, there will be celebrities, influencers, etc. Now, especially when you hire out a track, you also hire out the areas around it. So, for example, for Miami, you have the Hard Rock Stadium, which is well known for obviously the sports that take place in America. Now this also means that influencers and celebrities like to have their fair share in VIP experiences such as hot laps, garage tours, even staying in the garages during races, free practices and qualifying. And while there are influencers and celebrities who are invited to come, there are a lot who do pay to be there themselves. Lastly, we're going to move on to logistics and operations. Now, this consists of 3 categories, including transportation, track fees, and testing and development. Separate from the flights, there are also several other factors that contribute to this cost. For example, for the fans, especially when it involves street circuits, there are usually transportation such as buses or coaches that take the fans there. Now, depending on their location, a lot of teams will also use transportation such as boats and lorries to deliver the components to where they need to go. Especially with tracks on the calendar, such as Monaco, you see a lot of transportation via boat or via plane to be able to come watch the Grand Prix. So when you search online, you can actually see that to moor your yacht in Monaco during the Grand Prix weekend, it's really expensive, with prices ranging from €20,000 to €500,000 per day. Now, moving on from transportation, we now have track fees. Now, in a modern day race calendar for Formula One, we have 24 races across the year, including famous circuits such as Silverstone, Monza and Spa. Some races, like the Las Vegas Grand Prix, are run directly by F1's parent company, Liberty Media, and thus don't involve traditional hosting fees. Newer high-profile races tend to have higher fees, while older circuits may have lower, sometimes negotiated rates. Now, factors that influence these hosting fees are things such as contract length and negotiations, circuit type, event popularity and commercial value, and infrastructure and facilities. In terms of circuit type, we know that recently Formula One has introduced more street circuits. So, for example, we've had Miami and Las Vegas, and we've also still got old ones on the calendar, such as the Monaco Grand Prix and Singapore. Now, depending on these types of circuits, you also see an increase or decrease of value in terms of track fees. This may simply be because they have different financial arrangements compared to permanent circuits. Other factors that affect track fees also include event popularity and commercial value. So races in countries with high tourism potential or strong commercial interest may command higher fees. Lastly, you have infrastructure and facilities, which simply just refers to the cost of building and maintaining a circuit, including any special features like marinas or hotels, which also plays a role in the overall cost of hosting. And on to our very last point, we have testing and development. Testing takes place pre-season and post-season for Formula One. Now, testing is obviously done usually just to collect data for the teams so they know how to improve the car, or how far the car has come as compared to the start of the season. So this all goes towards their research and development, so the teams back at the headquarters can finalise and rethink how they're going to develop the car. This includes aerodynamics, materials science, advanced simulation, track testing with key components such as the engine, chassis and gearbox, as we stated earlier on in the video. Now, whilst the testing itself isn't usually as expensive, it's what happens before or after that's usually what racks in the costs. Now, the development and testing of an F1 car involves a massive financial investment, with top teams spending upwards of 400 million per season. This includes significant costs for research and development, particularly in areas like aerodynamics, material science, and advanced simulation techniques, as we've already stated. The testing can happen on track, but it can also happen back at the factories and the HQs, where they will develop the car and test things like the safety features and the aerodynamics. This also includes the famous wind tunnels and also the computational fluid dynamics, also referred to as CFD. This all contributes heavily to the overall expense. Now, this was your entire breakdown of why Formula One is so expensive. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this video.